Countries around the world are investing in nuclear energy technologies, but not Australia. We are one of the only developed countries with a ban on nuclear energy. Today, legislation with the backing of 9 senators will be introduced to remove this ban. Those who support it say it is time to treat nuclear energy as a safe and effective option. Joining me now live is National Senator Matt Canavan. Senator, good morning. What are you calling for here?
Well, I'm calling for us as a country to open the window to consider nuclear energy. As you've just said, Danica, we're one of the very few countries with a legislative ban. Indeed, of the top 20 richest countries in the world, we're the only one that has a ban on even considering a nuclear energy station. Now, this ban came in place as part of a political trade-off in the Senate 24 years ago with the then Howard government and Greens and Labor senators. It wasn't done with any consideration or long policy development. Indeed, the debate in the Senate on the amendment that banned nuclear energy lasted for less than 30 minutes. But it potentially will cost us for generations unless we fix this issue, because denying our country access to reliable energy solutions could lead us into the situation where Europe is today, without reliable options, with a declining manufacturing industry and not even the ability to keep people's lights and heating on through summers and winters.
Is there even an appetite for nuclear in Australia, and do you believe the public know enough about it?
I think the mood is shifting. There, of course, has been a lot of concern about nuclear energy. It is actually one of the safest forms of energy production, but there's been a lot of propaganda against it over the past few decades, and that had an impact. But you can see the mood shifting because when we announced nuclear submarines last year, when we announced that we would acquire nuclear submarines, there was basically zero controversy. I was certainly expecting some degree of opposition, but almost no one has expressed that to me or in the broader public. It's not a political issue. And so I think people realise, given the geopolitical situation we faced, whatever hang-ups we had on nuclear energy, we needed them in our submarines, and that's been widely supported. Well, likewise here, given the energy situation we face, given the fact we had to suspend our electricity market just a few months ago, we clearly have significant warnings about our ability to keep the lights on in the years and decades to come. We cannot afford to take options off the table. In Europe, they're desperately going back to nuclear energy. The UK government wants to build a nuclear power station, one every year. Macron, the French government, announced that they would build 14 new nuclear reactors. But we don't want to end up in the European situation where you're doing it at the last minute, where you're having to make these decisions basically at the same time you're facing a massive crisis. That's why we should do this today. That's why we should get rid of the ban today, and so we can at least start considering proposals. Getting rid of the ban doesn't mean they'll start tomorrow. It doesn't mean they can just come in and build one whenever they want. There is still a significant regulatory approach and process involved in the existing legislation that we need to go through. But the longer we delay that, the more likely we'll end up in a crisis like Europe's in.
There's been a lot of pressure on Australia to commit to more ambitious climate targets. How will including nuclear power in the energy mix help meet short and longer term emissions reduction targets?
Well, of course, it is zero emission power as well. And, it does, the fact that a lot of those supporting net zero or significant climate change action are so resistant to nuclear energy belies the myth about what some of those people are actually about. Because you get some of the Greens and others say that the world's going to blow up soon, that we need to act, this is a crisis, we have a climate emergency, we've got to do things. Yet then they'll say, oh, no, but we can't do nuclear energy. I mean, if it is really a crisis, if the world's about to combustively explode over the next decade, surely we'd consider something that is used all around the world and can solve this massive emergency. But the fact they want to not do that shows to me that a lot of those people aren't about climate change. It's about making lots of money investing in renewable energy. That's what they're about. It's all about something different that's also green in some countries. It's about money. But we could, if we are going to go to net zero, the only sensible way we can do that is to have nuclear part of the mix. Because you cannot run an industrial economy on the back of power sources that are weather dependent. Again, Europe has already tried that. It hasn't worked out very well.
All right, well, no doubt another big day in Parliament. National Senator Matt Canavan, we have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Danica.